Hello. I'm Scott Scherzer. I'm going to be presenting my final project for database management. So, first, make sure this is how I start my SQL server. I use the Mac SQL Community Server plugin. So, you have a nice little thing on preferences that tells you if it's running or not. I'm going to discuss first, I'm going to discuss the overlay of my project, how it evolved, what motivated it. This is not the mode I want. What do I need? Here it is. Here we go. Sorry about that. So, like I said, CMPT308, Spring 21, Professor McKee, and I'm Scott Scherzer. So first I'm going to talk about why I chose to use this kind of database. Over summers, I'm a truck driver, and a lot of my work, I use spreadsheets, drawing on pen and paper to create my routes. So I have a pretty good understanding of the logistics business. And I think it could have been simplified a lot especially if it was a bigger company and there was a lot more drivers. I think this would be the best way to do it. The software that I'm going to be using to manage my databases is MySQL Workbench, and I'm going to be running my SQL community server to launch my server and make a lot of my queries and connect to my program that you're going to see in a little bit. The diagram software that I'm using is Lucid Charts for the schemas that you're going to see coming up also. So basically, this entire database is going to have 6 tables. There are warehouses listed in there where the inventory is. There's a table just of drivers and their information. And then we have customers and customer payments. And all of this data is going to go into the orders table using all of their IDs, and all of their foreign keys will be basically stored in orders. But there are some other relations that I'm going to discuss here. So for the warehouse and the inventory tables are going to be related by using on the bottom here. This would be the inventory. So here, starting at the warehouse, each warehouse has its own ID, has its address, other information here, and then each item is given its own ID, and then the foreign key is going to be the warehouse ID, which is taken from that table. There could be lumber for 101, 102. I just used easy numbers for examples. Here's some other information that could be helpful for the material. Then here we have, this is where a lot of the relation is on how an order is taken. So here, this is the customer table who's given their own unique ID. Here's some information about that customer. Same thing basically with the driver. This data is only used for the order table. Then now we have an order. Each order is given their own ID, customer name, that should be company, what company they're from, then what customer ID, from which driver. And departing address, this is the warehouse foreign key. This could be, I just wanted to make it clear that this is where you're leaving from, but this would be the warehouse ID foreign key. This is where the delivery is going, and some other information here. There's 10 of these. This would be way too long, but material type 1 goes all the way to 10. So there would be material type 1 type, which is the warehouse or the item ID. That's the foreign key for that one. And then how much that weighs, this goes all the way down to 10, so you could have 10 different materials. And then a payment is coming from, this is given to each payment uniquely. From which customer comes from that customer ID, foreign key. From which order comes from there, that's another foreign key. And here's some other information about the order. Here's how my project evolved over time. This was the first schema I made. It wasn't as good as my later schemas. I also had some information that didn't really make sense. I had like job type, material instead of items, material order, that's just orders basically. But some of the other things made it to the final phases of the project, like driver and customer were pretty much exactly the same. Order got a little bit more detailed. There's more items down there. But warehouse is also the same, but warehouse is at the top of my other hierarchy, so warehouse should have been the beginning of these schemas. As you can see here, I believe that says warehouse is at the top of one of these. I believe that's it. So here I'm going to talk about my code implementation here. So what I did was, Python's not really my language of choice, but it's the only one where I really have UI experience, so that's why I chose to do Python. So what we did here is I used the MySQL connector library to run this, to create a MyDatabase object with my database information here. And then upon clicking a box in the UI, you will receive some other information, and you'll push your data to the database directly. So for this example, you're only going to be creating a new customer, but you could have with some slight changes, you could added anything you want to the database for a more robust program. So okay, here. So the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure you connect your database. So I just made this little, this is like a test query. This is not a robust program. It just makes sure that it works. So run this to make sure you can connect your database. What's the name, your host, user, and this is in a separate file just for security. Then you get some things printing, letting know that you successfully connected. And this cursor is just an object that cycles through the list and executes commands that you want. So here, these are two strings I created to run the my cursor execute. This is the same as, or this is how you commit it then. It's the same as an SQL query. And then here we're going to receive a message to make sure that we've done it correctly. So let's see if we can connect to the database. Okay. I don't know what the problem is there. Let's try that again. I'm not sure what the problem is there, but name my cursor is not defined. This has happened before. I'm not sure what this problem is here. Let's just try to reset VS Code. Could be some kind of false error. But we did successfully connect the database bug. We got that successful connection coming out of the terminal. Let's try this again here. All right, successful connection. Line 22, execute. Yeah, we need to change. This is already, that's the problem. This is already in the table, and this is the primary key. So, okay, there we go. So the problem was we were using the same primary key. I forgot we had to change that. But as you can see here, we received our messages saying we inserted the connection, we connected successfully, and we were able to push to the database successfully. So let's take a look at this more robust program that allows us to add our own information here. A lot of this code is it's basically the same as the other SQL tests functionality-wise, but here this is just a bunch of UI stuff using the Kinter library, which is in the GitHub that you could check out anytime you want. So let's run this. So as you saw in the terminal, we did successfully connect to the database. So now let's start entering some data. So we used 135 last. Let's go 136 here. Let's go dash assures. This could be any phone number, but it's okay. Oh, that's not the company name. Apologies. Ooh. Okay. Dash hardware co. One, two, three, Av. This could be a null address. City, Poughkeepsie, New York. 2601 USA. So let's see if we were able to successfully push, successfully able to dash assures to the database. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to ensure that we were able to successfully add both of those. So a cool little program I like to use is MySQL Workbench to manage my databases, take a look at my stuff. So let's pull up that schema and make sure that we were able to successfully add both of those values to our database. So let's select all from there. Let's run this query. And here, okay, so it was out of order because I guess I used 139 at one point, but the one we just included was 136 dash Schurz at dash hardware. Our random phone number 123 Ave, Poughkeepsie, New York. Here's some other random info. This is going to be automatically added together at some point, but this is not this. I'm just showing you the functionality behind the program. Yes, and I believe 135 is the random other one we were using to test. But if you want to look here, we could run it one more time. Where's my VS Code? So we left off at 139. Let us add one more. So let's go 140. TT. This is not very important right now. Okay. Now if we rerun this query, you can see we now have another query added to our database here. So anyways, thank you very much for teaching us this semester. Had a lot of fun in this class. I went in knowing nothing about SQL to having a good understanding of it and using it in real programs. If you have any questions, definitely email me. Thank you very much and have a great summer.